I really think at this moment in time, we are witnessing the gaming industry change more than ever before, and we're going to be witnessing all those massive changes in one short span of time. Think about it from this perspective. We will be the only generation to witness true physical ownership in video games, actual consoles that didn't require an online subservice or account, and then having the full game on the disc. All the way moving towards no longer owning the game physically at all, buying only digitally, having to download updates, patches, and everything else across the board, paying for online subscriptions, and even worse soon, not even owning your actual hardware at all. Now, let's be real. I'm not trying to be all doom and gloom about things. What I'm trying to point out is exactly what's been happening in this space over time. We are witnessing as a major RAM and storage crisis are impacting the entire industry. Every electronic component, every electronic device is suffering. PC components are having a hard time. Consoles are getting massive price hikes 6 years into the generation, costing almost more than double what they originally were at MSRP on launch. And we're getting to the point right now where we're not even going to be able to own our physical games, even though we're paying full price for them. But it's honestly not all bad news. It looks like there may be a plan up Xbox's sleeve that is going to allow you a different way of actually playing more video games without having to, in fact, break the bank. And I think this actual strategy may be what Xbox truly needs, not only to increase their own user base, but also provide you with more options on how to play your video games. Now, my real concern, which we'll talk about later on in this video with Microsoft's strategy, could be how they in fact monetize their users in the long run. But before we get into that topic specifically later on in the video, it looks like other tech companies may in fact be trying to go ahead and control more than just your subservice. They want to control every piece of hardware as well. Because according to Dexerto on Twitter saying this, Apple could soon lock financed phones and restrict access to apps if the owner falls behind on payments, per 9to5 Mac. Now, I know what you're saying. Alex, you're talking about Apple again? Why? They're not into video games. What are we even doing right now? Au contraire, mon frère. You see, just like we talked about in yesterday's video, Apple is one of the biggest companies on the planet, a multi-trillion-dollar corporation. And that same trillion-dollar corporation is having a very difficult time getting access to and getting good prices for long-term agreements for storage and for RAM, causing them to move into a space that many people were not in fact ready for: financing your own phone directly from Apple. That way, you are required to go through and pay them over time, even though you're going to be owning that phone, hopefully later on down the line. One of the big things that came across this, though, was what happens if people, in fact, don't pay that fee. Well, it turns out we're going to find out right now. Apple may go around and start locking down your actual phone or device if you fall late on your payments to Klarna, which, by interest rate perspective, you're really going to be spending a lot more money doing that than just saving up and buying it on your own. The thing is, though, you could easily apply this to game consoles and even PC hardware as well. Having your drivers no longer work, having your games no longer function, and if the gaming industry goes completely all digital, that means these game companies can literally control your entire online account, grant you access to your own games, and tell you when you can and cannot play, depending if you've in fact paid the piper. This goes well beyond just game ownership. Now we're talking actual account and hardware ownership as well. Even if you've bought the console, even if you've paid for everything, or if you're financing it on your own as well. This is nothing more than a play to get people who can't afford these devices to pay more over time, and then when those payments fall short, they're then paying a late fee or the actual fee itself, and then paying that monthly fee that they want to own that specific piece of hardware. This is going to go from bad to worse, and to me shows that the pricing of systems and consoles may in fact still increase with the next generation. But the thing is, I may be someone who could be completely wrong about this, because a lot of video game CEOs may feel the opposite. Check this out. According to Hazardor Gaming on Twitter saying this, Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot says ditching physical helped PC and PlayStation ending discs, quote, won't disturb the industry, and he expects a digital-only future could bring console prices down. with the article saying Ubisoft Yves Guillemot seems largely in Sony's corner regarding the scheduled end to physical PlayStation games, going to bat for some advantages of an all-digital future. Guillemot fielded a question about the January 2028 discontinuation of physical PlayStation games during Ubisoft's financial call earlier today. One caller asked how Ubisoft feels about Sony's decision and if it has any worries about its direct or indirect effects, such as the end of the used games market, which can enable gamers to pawn games and use those funds to buy new games. With Yves Guillemot saying, quote, "What we saw on the PC is that it helped to grow the market," Guillemot replies. "There's also some pressure for the future on the cost of machines, and being able to be only digital will help to have a more accessible machine, I would say. As you said, there are pluses and minuses, but we think it will not disturb too much the industry." All right, I truly believe that the people at Ubisoft are in fact completely... This dude is a CEO, and he has no clue and no idea what is in fact causing the price increases of hardware and consoles in the first place. It's not the disk drive. What the issue is the fact that it's RAM and storage capacity. That's what's causing the price increases. Like we saw earlier in the video, Apple may be going around and restricting and locking down your phone if you don't make those financial payments to them because the phone costs too much money. Now I can bet my sweet bippy that every other major company, Nintendo, Xbox, and even PlayStation, will do the exact same thing to their hardware, especially if it goes on any sort of financial payment plan, stopping your actual usage, restricting your account, and no longer having access to it. A Blu-ray disc drive is not going to add double the price to the console price MSRP just because you think it's going all digital. What a complete and total idiotic thing to say. But again, this is Ubisoft in the first place. Complete idiots across the board, not only with how they monetize their users, completely screw everybody over, but at the same time make the same slop third-person open world game full of icons vomited onto a map that you always tend to see. And I want to really break down this entire concept of like, oh, digital helped PC games move forward. No, that really wasn't what helped. In fact, everybody hated Steam when it first came out, and it took Valve multiple decades in order to get any sort of actual proper consumer advocacy so people could in fact feel comfortable spending money on a purely digital platform and not having any physical copies of their game or ownership with a license whatsoever. And what I really want to debunk is going back to his original statement, talking about going digital will keep prices down. Well, Yves, if that's the case, why did this happen to Valve? According to videocards.com, Steam Deck sales reportedly fell up to 82% after price hikes. Oh, what happened? The Steam Deck is a purely digital platform. It's a totally digital device. It doesn't have any moving parts whatsoever for a disc or anything else like that. Yet for some reason, the Steam Deck OLED, the 1TB edition, now costs $950. You know what? I'd rather spend the extra $100 and get a Steam machine instead if I was going to spend that kind of money. Or I'd buy a ROG Ally X. The ridiculous insanity and behavior of these CEOs and corpos being completely so out of touch and out of time. Yes, that's a Hall & Oates reference. That song will be in your head all day now. You're welcome. At the fact that every single time they say something, it's always in favor of the corporation. It's never in touch with the actual consumer or customer, the people whose money they're dying to get. Ballooning budgets, insane price increases, not taking a loss on their hardware, doing everything they can to go around and screw you and even over monetize you, and literally telling you to their face they're going to in fact do it. And now removing actual physical ownership of games, and soon your actual console as well. Oh, but don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. If you thought we were done talking about CEOs making the most obvious point ever, well, get ready for this one. Because according to GameSpot on Twitter, ex-PlayStation boss Sean Layden calls for a return to the good old days of AA gaming. With Sean Layden saying, quote, "The problem we see there is the current model incentivizes or almost dictates that to get funding, certainly in the triple-digit million era, you better be a sequel or you better be based on something like Lord of the Rings, or you had better be It's Just Like Grand Theft Auto. But," he said, "so we all make those kinds of games. We fund those kinds of games. But the quirky stuff you saw in the PS1 and PS2, we don't see so much." We keep making more of the same thing. Bad habits are hard to stop, he said. That's why I'm trying to put together a publishing concern that will address that undeserved AA market, not only from the consumers I believe it can appeal to, but the developers who want to go back there. And this is where I get incredibly upset about things. We're watching as these companies and publishers and developers do not want to take any risk whatsoever. They want to minimize every piece of cost they possibly can. And the only time they ever allow any sort of money being handed out to developers is when it's a sure bet, when it's a sequel or anything else. And we've lost so much because of that. The massive AAA games, the insane behavior of the entire industry, and everybody trying to force microtransactions, battle passes, season passes, dark patterns, and everything else into video games that cause you to spend more money over time, all the while forcing the actual bill of goods onto you, the customer. Their massive bloated budgets means more expensive video games, $80 games, $100 games. Then they don't want to take a loss on hardware, so that means $1,000 systems. At the same time, paying for online. Why even would you? You already pay for the internet, and now paying even more money for video games because they want to have a budget increase over time. That's insane if you ask me. When you're looking at the actual space right now of games like E33, games like Pal World, so many other titles you can point and look at and say, look, these guys didn't have $400 million budgets. They didn't have $500 million budgets. They did this with just a couple of $1,000,000, some duct tape, a little bit of WD-40, and some code in a shack. And they were able to not only sweep the entire Game of the Year awards, they were able to go through and put tons of numbers up on Steam and sell millions of copies. Mecha Chameleon is another perfect example. And so many other games you can point and look at and say, AA has always been around. It just hasn't been around in the actual console space because so many publishers don't want to take that risk. But the thing is, it's not about that. It's about control. Sean Layden wants to control that AA space. Yves Guillemot wants to control your actual purchases and what you buy on their systems, thereby restricting what you can actually play and when you can play it. And all these other companies want to control how much you spend on their hardware, what you spend, and if you don't give them enough money over time, they'll lock your shit down and kick you out from all the games you paid for and even had access to. And all of this now comes at a head to Microsoft and Xbox. And their plan seems to be the opposite. With Dexerto on Twitter saying, Microsoft is now testing free xCloud gaming with ads for insiders. Players will have to watch an ad before they can play for an hour. Okay, all right. On the surface, I should be having an actual meltdown about this. Literally having an ad before getting to play a game for an hour? That headline does not do any favors at all for what is actually trying to be happening or what is in fact going down. Thankfully, though, Microsoft put out a blog post, and it looks like things may be better, but I still have my concerns. So let's see what Xbox had to say. Matthew Ball on Twitter wrote, today, Xbox will begin a public test that enables Xbox insiders to stream select games from their library at no added cost and with no subscription required through a new ad-supported option. Our overall goal is simple: to give players more affordable options to play. The goal of this public test is to see how players use ad-supported streaming and listen to their feedback. As we experiment, we want to be clear about the principles that we hold for our ad-supported experiences. 1. We start with the player. Ads should create value. 2. We do not interrupt the flow of gameplay. 3. We hold ads to the same quality bar as our content. 4. We are clear about what is an ad. And 5. We make sure ads fit what players expect on each platform. Okay, so at least Matthew Ball's tweet had a lot more information and provided a lot more context into what in fact was going to be happening. Dexerto's headline really didn't explain a lot at all, And to me, this points into one specific direction, like we talked about before. It's about actual control and ownership. If you aren't able to afford a console, here is another option for you as a way to go ahead and still play video games while still also not paying for an online sub fee, which could be good for some users if they're willing to put up with the actual atrocity that is in fact ads in the first place. My biggest concern right now, though, isn't the fact that ads are on the free supported tier, it's the fact that I could be seeing ads creep into the paid tiers as well. And here's why I say this. We've seen Microsoft increase the price of Game Pass by 50% before Asha Sharma walked in, all because of Call of Duty. Even though she later on reduced the cost of Game Pass to about $23 a month, it still is quite expensive from what it had before at $19 and is missing a big marquee title. What I'm thinking right now is that this could be a good test bed of what's been going on, but I'm also incredibly worried about the massive slippery slope that could be impacting every single user later on in this space. But there's more though, because Xbox even made a blog post about it. So let's check that out too. With their blog post saying, during this test period, Xbox insiders with an Xbox account will be able to stream games they own for free with ads. Players will have 1-hour session limits across supported devices and regions. Here's what they can expect. Ads will play before the session begins. The core game experience is unchanged. This is optional. Players can choose other ways to play at any time. For many players, the device they already own now allows them to stream games with Xbox. Cloud can also help Xbox One owners play newer games built for Xbox Series X and S without needing to purchase new hardware right away. That can be especially meaningful in places where consoles are harder to find or less affordable, giving more players another way to access great games on devices they already have. Okay, so there's even more clarity about what's been going on right now. Number one, it is in fact optional, so you can choose not to watch any ads if I guess you are paying for cloud services with Game Pass. At the same time though, I think you can still stream your Xbox Series X and S games to other devices that also have the Xbox app. I'm not entirely sure on that one, so anybody who's really deep into Xbox, please let me know in the comment section down below. I think you can do that with your Xbox Series consoles to an Xbox ROG Ally X. I think that was talked about when the ROG Ally was in fact first debuted. But as Xbox said in that statement on their blog post, what they're trying to do are reach new players who don't have the ability or the funds to in fact upgrade from an Xbox One to a Series X and S, seeing as how those consoles right now are about $700 plus for the Series X model. That is a ridiculous amount of money to pay for anything overall. And like I said earlier in the video, we are watching as many other companies are doing one of two things, either restricting their entire user base and over monetizing them, or we're going to watch other companies begin to increase their user base, and then that way they can go through and monetize those people as well. It's going to happen one way or another. I think the big difference though is watching how these two different companies in fact play with the entire space right now. Will ads be a normal part of our everyday life? Will we have to watch ads even though we pay for Game Pass? And we can clearly see that many companies are not trying to do everything with our best interest, and being skeptical is always going to be a good thing overall. This may be a good idea right now, seeing as how the entire industry is reeling and trying to figure out what to do with the rising cost of components. The thing is though, this could also put us down a path where everybody will no longer have access to anything and zero ownership whatsoever, being totally digital, and then into cloud streaming, basically not even owning the game, but just paying the subscription service for that game whatsoever. No hardware, no ownership, no nothing at all. Not even from Klarna, when they can shut down your system if you don't pay. And here's also another reason why I'm skeptical about this as well. Microsoft and Satya Nadella are two of the biggest reasons why we are in this memory crisis in the first place. Satya has been one of the key figures working with OpenAI and every other major company trying to open up their own data centers, causing massive amounts of shortages of RAM and storage. So yeah, even though this seems like a good first step overall, I really feel like the big win would have been if Microsoft just said, we got ourselves into this mess, we need to pay our way out of this mess as well, and took the biggest hit on their hardware they possibly could to in fact go through and make that affordable for you, the actual user. That would have been the ideal win overall, and turning Satya's own entire PR into something far more acceptable. Now here's the thing, is Xbox going to listen? Are they going to take proper feedback? And the fact that this is optional is, in my opinion, far better than mandatory. The problem is though, I'm also worried that they may in fact increase pricing on everything else or start implementing ads into other paid tiers, but we won't know until we get there. Like I said before, we are in a generation of video games that are going to change exponentially and incredibly rapidly, and it's not going to look the same in the next couple of years than what we've been used to for the past couple of decades. And that's incredibly scary, with CEOs saying the most idiotic things about how digital is going to save us money on hardware, even though that's not even close to being true. Where other CEOs are not trying to fight for AA, even though we've had a massive AA scene on the PC gaming space for multiple decades. And companies now trying to go around and force you into payment finance programs to own your actual hardware, or at some point not even have the hardware at all and stream everything to an actual app. This is going to get weird, and it's going to get crazy before anything gets even better. But I will be keeping a very close eye on this as well, and seeing what Microsoft and Xbox do with an ad-supported tier of cloud streaming. And maybe this might be one of the options for users who can't afford new pieces of hardware, which is practically pretty much the entire planet right now, the way things are going. But as always, I want to hear what you guys got to say about this in the comment section down below. Do you think this is a good move for Xbox overall? Do you think this could in fact be something that could be abused later on, which is what I'm actually inclined to believe, so I'm still a little bit skeptical about the entire thing? And do you actually truly feel like the AA gaming space has been disappearing, and do you want it to see a return? I want to hear what you guys got to say. And speaking about what you guys got to say, I had no idea I was from Jersey. I might as well go watch Clerks for a little bit. I like the animated series. It's really good. Here's the comment of the day from yesterday's video, with Robert F. 4157 saying, looks like the competition for PlayStation is PlayStation itself. Robert, you're not wrong about that. And honestly, I feel like every other major gaming company is also competing with themselves as well. Competing with how much to charge the customer, competing with what to do next, and what they can actually get away with in trying to make sure they get more money out of you. But as always, if you guys want to see more of this kind of content though, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, and live streams, subscribe to the channel. If you want Discord access or emotes during those live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. Look, if you don't want to spend the buck, man, don't even sweat it. Just come on down Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live on this channel as I wear a banana suit and get insulted with text-to-speech. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Saturday nights live, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, right here on this channel. Do you want even more of me though? Check out Oh No It's Alex Gaming. Link to that channel is in the description down below. New videos come out every single Monday, and I stream there daily from 10:30 a.m. to around 2 p.m. We're finishing up Gears of War Reloaded and then jumping right into Halo Combat Evolved today. So come on down and hang out with the best community on YouTube. Oh No It's Alex Gaming. Link to that channel is in the description down below. With all that being said though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!